Hey everybody, I'm here to do my birth story and a little bit of where I've been and how it's been going with a newborn and a toddler. So let's get into the video. So on September 19th, I had went in for my normal OB. How after 36 weeks you go every week, so it was my 39-week OB visit, and I had mentioned to my doctor that, I've been having so many contractions throughout the past couple of weeks, but they weren't consistent, or they wouldn't stay consistent, because there was a time where they were about every 2 to 5 minutes, and that lasted for like 4 hours. And so I thought it was time to have a baby. I actually went to the hospital, and they're like, well, yeah, these are contractions, but they're starting to not become consistent, so we really can't keep you. So they're like, you know what, just to make sure this isn't labor, we're going to have you walk around for a couple hours, and then we're going to monitor you again, and we're going to see if you dilated any. Sure enough, I was still at a 3. By the way, I was at a 3. And 90% effaced, and no change. So I'm like, okay, because I went from a 1 and 50% till the next day I went to the doctor again. No, it was like 3 days later I needed to get something else. I don't remember why I went back 3 days later, but then she checked me again, and I was 3 centimeters and 90% effaced. So anyway, I went to my 39-week appointment, and I told her, her movement's been down, and I've been having these weird contractions. I'm done being pregnant. It was just so much. And she goes, you know what, now that you're saying that she's not moving, her heart rate is kind of going up and down. She goes, and I really don't like that. So there's someone watching me record this video. No, okay. What is she doing? NST, which is a non-stress test, and I was on there for about an hour and a half. She goes, her heart is decel. She's having some decels I don't like. Her movement's off. I'm going to send you to the hospital. I want you to be induced today. I want you to have this baby today as soon as possible. So I'm like, what? I was not expecting that at all. So we head up to the hospital, and it's about 2:30, 3 o'clock, because my hospital's an hour away from my house and from my doctor's office. Mason, please don't play with that, honey. So we finally get to the hospital, and then they're hooking me up, asking me all my questions, my history, stuff like that. And finally, a couple hours later, they start me on Pitocin. They said that since I had a C-section with my son, that they couldn't just, be like, wham, Pitocin. They're going to start me off at a 1, and they are only going to go to a 10. If they go to a 10, stop pulling my hair. It's not nice. No. They said if I go to a 10 and there's no change, then I have to have a cesarean. So when I got to about a 6 on the Pitocin, I started to really feel the contractions, and the doctor goes, I can see you're having to rock through these contractions now. You're about 7.5 centimeters, or 7 centimeters. Do you want the epidural? He goes, it's up to you. It's your body. You can say no. You can refuse it. You can wait a little bit longer. Whatever. But I just recommend it now. And I was like, you know what? You said I have to be able to sit still. I have to rock through these contractions right now. So yes, I'll just take it right now. So as soon as that happened, they're like, oh, like, if you ever had an epidural, you know how it goes. But if you haven't, they put numbing stuff in you before they put the actual, like, epidural in. And every time they'd be like, oh, can you feel this before we put the actual epidural in? I could feel it. So they had to give me 4 different shots of numbing medicine. So by the time they were done with the epidural, from my shoulder, wait, what side was it? No. From my right shoulder to my right toe, the whole right side of my body was completely numb. I could not feel anything on my right side. The left side was kind of doing its own thing. So they actually had to turn down my epidural. So then I, numbed it where it was supposed to be, except for one little spot on my left side of my stomach. So when I started having contractions, I felt it in one little spot of my stomach, and it freaking hurt. But anyway, After that was in, somehow when my doctor, because after you have the epidural you have to have a catheter in, I know it's gross, but what are you going to do? One of the doctors was coming in, or the nurses, was coming in to empty mine and accidentally unplugged my Pitocin. So, she was going to be born that night, but she accidentally unplugged it and didn't realize it till that morning. So, we had to start all over. So, after that, my contractions really started to kick up. And about 3 o'clock on the 20th, the afternoon, everything started to get worse, and I was like, I'm having a lot of pressure in my butt, and I was still at a 7, 8 at this point, and I'm having a lot of pressure in my bottom. Something just doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know if I need to push. I've never done this before. What's going on? Sure enough, they come, and they're like, you're at a 10, and you're fully effaced. Let's push. And I'm like, what? And they're like, just to be sure, I see a little lip, so I want to make sure that's not part of your cervix, so we're going to make you wait. But if you feel like you have to push right now, then call us back in. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just wait here, I guess. So after, it was like not even 5 minutes after they left, it wasn't even 5 minutes after they left that I had noticed that my pressure down there was getting really bad, and I felt like I needed to push. So my instinct was to call the doctor. Sure enough, they're like, okay, let's do some practice pushes. So I did those practice pushes, and they turned into this baby's coming out. It turned into this baby's coming out, and 45 minutes of pushing, and she was out. She weighed 7 pounds, 15 ounces, and was 19 inches long. And afterwards, they took her away, and her color was off. She didn't cry, nothing. So they took her over to the heating thing, and then sure enough, they touched her feet, and that's when she started to pinken up and scream. She does not like her feet touched. And then they kept saying, this is a lot of blood, this is a lot of blood, this is a lot of blood. Like, they brought in towels and towels and towels, and I'm like, what's going on? First I was concerned about my baby. I'm like, why isn't she crying? What's wrong? And they're like, we need to focus on you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. What's going on? Excuse me. Okay. And where was I? Birth. Okay. Oh. And finally, they told me, oh, you lost a lot of blood, you lost a lot of blood. I'm like, okay, well, whatever, what does that mean? And then they finally transfer me to my recovery room. They go, you have something that was called a postpartum hemorrhage. And she goes, your levels are at 7 right now, but if they drop even just the slightest, you have to have a blood transfusion. So instead of keeping you for 24 hours, we're keeping you from 48 hours to 72 hours. So I was hoping with, a vaginal birth, I could leave the next day. Want this? But that wasn't the case. I ended up only staying 42 hours, but I was ready to go home at that point. But, yeah, now that I think about it and really, go over my birth story with her and then think about how, it was with him, I would totally prefer to do, oh my god, to do a vaginal birth again. But, I will show you her right now. She is, what's the 7 weeks, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 weeks and 3 days, and here she is. She's currently in her swing. I'll get a close-up on her so I don't get you guys sick. That's what she looks like. And her name is Ariana Rose. Yeah, that's your name? Is that your name? If you guys would like to see an update on her, I will make sure to do that for you guys. I'm sorry I've been MIA, but let me tell you, if you've done this before, having a toddler and a newborn, you want to rip your hair out. My son, Mason, is 19 months old, and they're 18 months apart. So, I need to drink something. Whew. Oh, and there was one thing that I didn't mention in my birth story, is when I started the push, I had the opportunity to use the mirror, and I watched her head come out, but then once her head came out, I started to bleed really bad, and that's when they moved everything and was like, oh, baby. But yeah, so I wanted to just mention that part, and if you guys ever do a vaginal birth, ask for the mirror. It is really an amazing experience to see that. It is so beautiful, and I would love to do it again. But right now, I don't want any more kids. I'm good right now. Maybe they'll change in the future, but as of right now, I'm good. And yeah, like I said, if you guys want to see an update on her, I will do that. A postpartum video, I will do that. And if there's any specific videos you guys would like to see, just put them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get that up for you guys. Bye.